So good morning, everyone, and welcome to the new Fascia Flossing Flow class, where we work with flossing or gliding over the body and the fascia tissue to help build some resiliency, build some juiciness. So let's take a comfortable seat, finding a still point, closing your eyes. In this centering, I like to take a moment to become very aware about what's present. And in this case, because we're working with the fascia, which is our communication system in the body, maybe you just ask, what is it present? What is it that you need? Let whatever shows up be whatever is important to know. It isn't wrong or bad. It's just there. I like to think of the body communicating with us in the only way it knows how. Just like a dog can only bark, our body can only give us sensations. So if there's sensations, whether they're more open, more mobile sensations, or whether they're more restricted, let's let it be information and be curious about the path. Let's take the hands together at the heart, just so that we can get in touch with this idea of how we're engaging the body in this class. Touch your fingertips and your palms very lightly together, as if you are hardly touching them at all. And just notice anything that's going on in your arms, shoulders, back, neck. Now, on purpose, start to press into the fingertips and into the pad of the hands, creating what I'm going to call muscular tension or energy. Press into all 5 fingers, press into the pad of the hand, and notice now what you might be feeling in your arms, shoulders, back, neck. This is what we want to do when we engage the body in this class. We want muscular action. And then we're going to move the hand slowly upward while you press into your hands. This is the second part where we want elongation of the muscle, movement in the joint. When you get to this edge point where you're like, oh, I can't really go anymore, just release your pressure and come back down to where you started. Let's do that twice more. Push into your hands, create the muscular tension, and then start to move your hands slowly straight up towards the ceiling. Nowhere really to go other than looking for this edge, this stopping point. When you find it, release your pressure and come down. One more time. This is what we call flossing. Just like you floss your tissues in your teeth, your gums in your teeth, you floss your tissues in your body. Good, and then release. Take a nice deep breath. Exhale, hands to lap, and eyes can flutter open. So I like to start this class with that action because it's easy to feel. And some of us will move our arms way up over our head. Some of us will stop because we'll feel that, don't really like that going any further. What we want to do is just keep massaging so that you end up getting more and more and more mobility, more and more resiliency and juiciness in the tissue. All right. So for this practice, we're going to start, let's start lying on our backs. And I want you to lay all the way down initially, like you're going to do Shavasana. Uh-oh. Where'd you go? There you are. Sorry, I lost you for a second. So we're going to lay all the way down on your back. And just put your leg down like you would normally do for Shavasana and take another moment here to scan your body. See what your body feels like in this position. Sometimes you get a little bit more information when you're lying down completely. Okay, this first action is a familiar action, but we're going to add that muscular tension and action to it. So if you happen to have a little bit of a neck thing going on, I want you to get something like a blanket and put it underneath your head. I don't want it super high, but you can put it up high enough where you feel pretty supported. Not as high as a bolster, not that high. Let's start with your left leg crosses over right. And you're familiar with this lifting the leg up and stretching the piriformis, yeah? But what I want you to do first is I want you to push your ankle into your knee as if you're trying to move it away from yourself, but don't move it away from your knee. So you're pushing it, you feel the outer leg start to open up and what we call get activated, and then lift your right foot up and start to bring the leg towards you. You can grab a hold of your shin and give it a little help if you like, but remember, gentle, find the edge and then release it and let it go. Press the ankle into the knee and then start to lift the foot carefully, drawing it in, and then let it go. So think flossing, muscle activation, and then start to move so that you're activating that area around the joint of the hip. Push, lift. Now this next part is up to you. You're going to push and lift, and then if you want, you can lift your head up like you're curling into a little ball, and then let everything come down. That's why you needed the blanket. Push, lift, and if you want, lift your head. That's an option. It's not it's not a specific ask. Push and lift. And let's do one more on this leg. Push ankle, lift the foot, and then if you want, lift the head, curling into a little ball. And then release, letting that leg come down. Take a moment in the middle. So if your tendency is to do a lot, like overwork, I want you to back yourself up to about 50%. This is not a hard practice. It's not supposed to be hard. Cross your right ankle over your left knee. I like to flex my foot just to remind me to keep my knee happy. Push the ankle into the foot and then start to lift the foot up. I like fingers on top of shin, drawing it in just ever so gently and then releasing it. Push, lift the foot, start to bring the leg towards you. You can use your fingers on the top and then relax it. Because what I don't want you to do is work to get this bottom leg. Push, lift, and then if you want, the head can come up and then down. Push, lift the foot so you're floating towards you, just like when you were lifting your hands up in the centering. It wasn't fast. Push, lift, and if you want, the head can come up. And you might notice as you continue to go back and forth over this action, that initially it felt really tight and uncomfortable, and then over a period of flosses, you'll start to feel less and less restriction. Let's do one more. Push and slow, drawing in till you find your edge, and then release all the way. So uncross your legs, just let them swish side to side. Side to side, just nice, easy. And then when you're ready, I want you to roll over, excuse me, and we're gonna come up into a kneeling position. You're gonna use your blocks here, and this is where you might wanna put something under your knees. Just depends on your surface. I'm on a carpet, so I've got a lot of padding under me. Oh, you don't need your block, sorry, unless you have super long legs. I'll show you with mine. So I'm gonna take my foot, start with your right foot, instead of it being a forward lunge, and this is where you would use your blocks, take your foot off to the side, so that when you start to come forward, your leg is on a diagonal, and your hands are in the middle. So you can put yourself up on blocks if you'd like. I'm gonna do flat hands. So what's important here is when you come forward, can you see my heel is still down? My knee is still tracking over my toes. I feel a little bit of an action going on this inner side of the leg now. That's where we start. And then I want you to push down into the foot, try to drag it backwards, but don't move it. And then start to bring your hips back. And then when you're ready, when you feel that edge, you stop, you come forward, and then you start again. Push, drag, and then lean back. So it's really important for this to be effective for us to keep that muscle engagement while you're moving backward. Now the next part, if you want, you can push, pull, and as you lean back, you can start to lift the ball of the foot up to get a little deeper into the calf. Releasing, come forward, push, pull, and if you want, lift the ball of the foot up. And I've got my feet far enough apart where I'm not necessarily sitting all the way back towards my foot. That's not really what I want you to do. So make sure that you've got enough space to move this back and forth. This is one of my favorite ones. I tend to get congested in my inner groins. I think it's because I sit so much. When I had my studio and I was running around all the time, I was a little bit more active. Last time. Good. And then go ahead and release it and just switch your sides out. So take the other foot forward. I like heel on the mat and ball of the foot off the mat, but you can adjust it. I just want you to make sure that your knee tracks in the same direction as your foot. You start in the forward position, wherever that is, and then you push down into your foot and try to drag it backward on the mat, and then move your hips back. And usually for me, it takes me once or twice for my body to go, oh, this is what we're doing. Oh, that's right. I remember now. And then again, if you want, you can lift the ball of the foot up. Ugh, and then come forward. So it's easy in this class. That's why it's really a good class for mindfulness. It's easy to forget what you're doing and just kind of move your body forward and back, but I want you to have a little bit more attention to what you're actually trying to ask your body to do. It's not a normal position. And for you guys, because you both said that your right side felt tight and restricted. So I'm working left leg and I feel this in my right sacrum. Your left inner thigh psoas can have a lot to do with the right side and vice versa. So just notice that. All right, last time, push, pull, and glide. All righty, and then release it. Okay. The last one we're going to do here is standing, and this is where you are going to use, no, you're not going to use your blocks, excuse me. So just come to standing for a minute, get out of that bent leg position. And then we're going to take the hands, and I want you to bend the knees into a squat and take the hands to the backs of your calves. Your feet stance can be whatever is comfortable for you, so you can have your feet wider apart if that's easier. But I want you to be able to bend your knees and push your hands into your calves. I've got my elbows next to me. They're not winging out to the side. And from here, I'm going to push, and then I'm going to slowly push my calves into my hands and my sitting bones are going to come up a little bit. When I hit my edge, I'm going to stop and come down and start again. Push my calves into my hands. And by that action, my hips will come up, release and come down. So it may not be very big. And then release. And if you feel this across your sacrum, you don't want to push into a place where it's really strong. Push and glide. And then release it. So remember, you're pushing into your hands pushing into your calves while you slowly start to straighten your legs. One more time. This is like, it feels good kind of, right? Alrighty, with bent legs, put your hands on the floor. I want you to move back into tabletop for a moment. Let's take a second here for cat and cow. So tailbone up, eyes up. Tailbone down, eyes down. And as you go into cow pose and your tail and your eyes are up, shift your weight slightly forward into your hands. And then as you round your backs, shift your weight slightly back and towards your legs. So inhaling, moving forward. And exhaling, gently rocking back. And this is a small movement. I want you to really notice any places in your body that feels like sticky wickets. Alrighty. Find your tailbone high, your eyes up, your toes turned under, and let's move back into an easy downward facing dog. Feel free to pedal your legs. Feel free to move your body in whatever way. I'm not a big proponent of two heels pressing down. Usually it's a little bit much for the body, especially first one. And then from here, let's come forward into plank. Knees touch the mat, release your toes. Now try to pull your hands backward. At the same time, you bring your pubic bone forward and down. So it's a little baby modified up dog. Make it available to you. Exhale, release and come back. Rest in child's pose. Take about 5 breaths here. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to work with certain sections of the body, like segments, if you will, and then doing just a little flow to move the energy around, and then a rest. Alrighty. After that next breath, come on up. So now we're going to move into upper body segment. And we're going to come down on the forearms, the tabletop position. But I want your knees wide apart and your toes together. And then come down onto your forearms. And again, this is like the lunging one. You want to be able to lean back enough, so adjust yourself how you need to. Your palms are going to push down. You're going to try to drag your arm backward. Do those 2 actions and then start to lean back, hips toward the wall behind you. And you'll know right away if you're too close together. So just move yourself further apart if you are. Inhale when you come to your edge. And then push down, pull back, and lean. Finding the edge. So now we're in the upper body. Come forward, push, pull, and lean. And so this particular action is around the upper chest, back, shoulders. And as you come forward, you can come way over your hands if you like. Push, pull, and glide. Just adds a deeper action in the shoulder. You don't have to do that. And then up. Remember, you're trying to pull your arms backwards. You should feel the muscle engage in the back of your arm especially. Push, pull, and glide. And there's no rule about these glides, these flosses. You can do 3, you can do 10. It really just depends on how congested you feel. And I'm challenge you to, sort of be curious about, wow, that feels like it could really help me. So just do more of that. Okay, one more time. This is one of my favorite ones. Push, pull, and glide. It does a lot. You might notice it. And then come back up. All right, the next one we're going to be on our forearms. And the palms are going to be exactly like they were, but your hands are going to be close together. Your elbows are going to be close together. You can keep your knees apart. So as close together as your elbows and hands can touch. You can put your palms together and press down into the mat. So it just depends on how you feel. I'm going to try it palms together. I usually do it palms down. So this is the one where we lean right and left. So let's start on the right. You're going to keep your hands together, your palms together, your elbows close, and push down into the mat. And then lean to the right side. And as you lean, turn your head like you're listening with your ear to the floor. You're going to get to an edge, and then you're going to come up. Go to the left side. Push and lean. And I want you to turn your head on purpose. So push, and if you got your hands and your elbows close together, try to squeeze them together. And up, because what happens is, as you turn your head and you lean over, you're going to notice what a lady friend of mine calls sticky wickets. Sticky spots. And up. So remember, push down and push in if you can. And you're just trying to engage as much muscle here as you can. Now, another little shift you can try is when you're pushing down, you can pull back and you'll feel your shoulders broaden, like you're trying to puff up your chest. Let's do one more on each side. Make sure you do right and left. I started on right, so maybe you did also. Push, and maybe try the pulling action. See what that one feels like. And then come up off of your arms. This next one, you can use your blocks. And so that we can isolate each side, instead of doing both sides at the same time, we did that last week. Take one block and put it on top of the other one. And so you can kneel. I'm going to kneel kind of like a tabletop. And I've got myself turned so you can see. I'm going to take my forearm and put it on top. My other arm is just on the floor somewhere helping me. And I'm going to dip my body downward towards the floor, not far. But I want you to push down into your forearm and have enough space in front of you so you can lean. So push down and then start to lean down. And when you feel it in your shoulder or chest, you're going to stop and come back up. So I'm going to adjust myself. I need a little bit more room. Push and lean. And then come back up. So now we're in the front of the body, front of the chest. And if you're like me and you tend to overdo, try not to overwork on this one. And up, push. And depending on how far you lean, depending on where you are in the range with your own arm and shoulder, if you lean forward like you're coming towards the front, you're going to be more into the shoulder. If you lean more lined up with your shoulder and elbow, you're going to be more in the chest. Play with it. See what it feels like. Good. And then release it. All right, let's just try the other side. So this is like yin, where it's not an exact science. You have to kind of feel into what you're doing. So forearm on the blocks, other hand on the floor somewhere to support you. Knees are a little bit wider. You're going to push down into the blocks and then lean that shoulder down towards the mat. And then come back up. Push and lean. And you're just moving in and out. Remember, the activation is on the downward movement. You're trying to activate the muscle and elongate it while you move. This is what makes the fascia wake up. And again, you don't want to go super deep or super hard. And last time. And then release it. All righty. Let's come back to tabletop position. This time I want you to take your right leg. Let's start with your right leg straight back. And we're going to do cat and cow here with the leg. So as you inhale, lift the foot, lift the eyes, and do the cow-like motion. And then as you exhale, knee to chest, rounding back, knee to nose. So inhaling nice and slow. And exhaling nice and slow. And again, you're just looking for freedom, ease. Maybe you'll notice a little sticky something somewhere. Try not to have a story around it. Just allow it to move through your body. Good. And then just come back to center. We'll start with the other leg. So left leg, toes turned under. As you inhale, eyes and foot come up. And as you exhale, knee and nose come together. Push with your arms. Inhale nice and slow. And exhale nice and slow. Breathing. Trying to allow some flow here, some energy to move. All righty, come back to center. Toes turned under, hands active to go back to your downward facing dog. Try not to overwork here. I like a little bit of heel press, but again, you don't have to do a lot. Shoulders are wrapped around the back of your body, not up by your ears. Take another breath. And as you exhale, come forward. Let your knees drift to the floor, release your toes. Now pull back with your hands to bring your chest forward and let your hips just drift down where they want to go. Nothing to do here. And then exhale, come back and rest in that child's pose again. Pause. Okay. So slowly bring yourself back up. We're going to come to standing again. You're going to use your blocks in this next one. This is a segment where I'm thinking about the whole body and not just segments. But this is focusing on the lower body action, similar to what we did with the lunge. So hands are going to be on the highest points of the blocks. Let's take your right foot forward and your left foot back a little bit so you're staggered. Again, the stance is really dependent upon your body and what you're feeling. So I'm going to ask you to push down into your front foot and drag it backwards like we did when we were kneeling. But you're going to do that and bend your back knee as you lift the ball of the foot. So again, you got to figure out your stance. And then when you get to your edge, you stop and come forward. Notice I'm coming kind of a lot forward. Push down, drag, and kind of reach back with your hips. So rocking kind of motion, the action is on the way back. You come forward, you reset, and then you push and pull and drag. And back. So knees are bent, your stance is your own. You find that push-pull in the front leg and then try to lean back. Push-pull, lean back. Ugh. Good, one more. Just play. Be curious. You can't do it wrong. Alrighty, and then release. Now notice where your front foot is. Take your back foot there and switch your legs up. And then we do the same thing. So you're going to push down into your front foot. You're going to drag it backwards and start to lean back as you lift your foot. And then come forward. Push, pull, lift the foot, and keep dragging the heel back as you bend your back knee, trying to get into a range where you feel some kind of edge. And you can feel it. This goes all the way up the back line of the leg, up across the back line of the hip and into the lower back on that side. The glory about doing it this way is that you're not limited on your knees, so your body can move and adjust a little bit more. Good, one more time. Push, pull, and glide. Awesome. All right. Go ahead and just allow yourself to come down onto the mat. Now we just did the back of the body. Now I want to do the front. So I want you to lie down on your back. And I want you to, we're going to play with quadricep engagement to help knee health and the front of the body now. So you're going to take your legs up to the sky. Let's start with your right leg. So this is going to be your leg you're working on. The left leg's going to be the little kick down. So I've got my right leg up. I've got my left ankle crossed over my right ankle. Now what I want you to do is push your ankle down, like you're trying to push your right foot to the floor, but you're resisting it. And then when you get to the bottom, you can lift it back up. Push down and resist with your right leg. And then lift. You can hold your leg if you like. You don't have to. Really just depends on your range of motion. But the idea here is that you're trying to activate the tissue around your knees that go up into the front part of the hip and into the front part of the belly. Push, pull, and resist here. So I'm trying to push my right foot down, but my right foot's saying, not so fast, buddy. Up and push. And if your quadricep is getting tired, that's probably an indicator that you, I mean, this is a strong motion, but it might be an indicator that you're trying too hard. Okay, last one, up and press. Good, and then just rest your feet on the floor for a minute, take a breath. That one could be hard. And then we'll go back to the other side. So legs come up, left leg's gonna be the worker, right leg's gonna be the pusher, okay? So you're gonna push down against your left leg and you're gonna resist it. The motion going down is always slower than the one going up. The up motion is like, wee, down motion is resistance. And up. And so we're working with how can we massage, floss this tissue of the fascia that can get hard. It can get real sticky. It doesn't move very well. And the analogy that's used a lot is if you think about a traffic jam, right? There's like an accident and there's a big mess and nobody can go in either direction. That's what happens in our fascia when it gets stuck. And it can get stuck from trauma, it can get stuck from injury, surgery, all kinds of things. And then what happens is it affects how the rest of the body's moving because the fascia is all connected. So you could have an injury in your quadricep, say, but you're feeling it in your shoulder, right? And release, go ahead and rest. Let your legs swish side to side. Take a moment with that. All right, while we're here, we're gonna do belly movement. So I want you to just roll over onto your belly. Counteracting all of that. So you're gonna be down on your body, not up in Sphinx, down, and slide your elbows by your body so your hands are kind of lined up with your face. Elbows are tucked in, legs are straight down, forehead can touch the mat. And so as you inhale here, we're just gonna lift the leg and the head off the floor. One leg, one head, just one head. And then exhale, lower yourself back down. And then do the other side. So one leg and then your head and shoulders. The elbows stay down. Now add the push-pull. So push in your hands, pull your elbows, and then lift with that action. And then release it when you go down. Push, pull elbows, and lift. Now you could do this without the leg. So if you're feeling like, I don't really like my leg lifting off the floor like that, it doesn't feel good, keep them down and see what it feels like without. You push down with your hands, you pull back with your elbows, then you lift. When you come down, you release it. Push, pull, and lift. So this is a reset, and we're addressing now the back of the body. Push, pull. And let's do one more on each side. And last time on the other side. Alrighty. Give yourself a minute here on the floor. You can feel free to wiggle your hips or maybe bend your knees and do upside down windshield wipers. Again, we're trying to listen. We're trying to really be curious and listen to what the body is trying to tell us. So we're really, really good at overriding the body signals. At least I am. All right, let's grab your blocks again. And I want you to put them side by side like this on the mat. Your feet are going to go on top of them. And this is going to create a higher lift for your bridge. This is called a thymus roll down or a thymus floss. It's good for the upper shoulders and neck, but it's also directing attention to the endocrine system and the thymus gland. So put your blocks where your feet would normally go for bridge pose. And then we're going to push down, and what I want you to think about is on the way down. So we're going to come up with no pressure. Your palms should be down on the mat. Now you're going to push into your arms and your hands, right? And then you're going to slowly peel yourself down from the top to the bottom. So neck first or shoulders first, upper back, lower back, and hips. When you hit the floor, relax your arms and come back up. Push, and then slowly, slowly come down. Try to keep your shoulders anchored into the mat, and then lift. The higher you go, the more tension or pressure you put around the thymus gland. So your lift is your own, but you can see that I'm actually lifting my chest up almost towards my chin. Pushing down into the arms as you slowly lower yourself vertebrae by vertebrae down. This is another one of my favorites, and I can't even tell you why. There's just something about it that feels really important for my body to do. And you might have noticed that in one of the other actions, one of the other flosses. Push, 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 keep going, keep going. We'll do one more. Try not to work so hard that you're getting really tired, but work enough so that you feel something's happening. Good, and then pause at the bottom. All right, last one, last floss here is I want you to make sure you have enough room where you can take your leg and arm out on a diagonal. So I'm going to start with my left arm up and over like a diagonal, and my right leg up and out on a diagonal. So you're going to end up in this kind of position. Okay, this is where the blanket can come under your head again. Oops, where's my blanket? Only because I'm going to ask you to lift your head up again, and you don't have to at all, but you could try it. All right, so right leg out. Wait, I'm doing it backwards. Sorry, my fault. My fault. All right, so left leg down. Let's start with left hand, right foot. Grab a hold of your right foot. So your hand is touching the bottom of your foot, or trying to. Your thumb is up and your toes are up, right? Now I'm going to ask you to separate them. You're going to turn towards the, wait a minute, I'm doing it backwards. Sorry, stop. Right hand, right foot. Now I have it right. So now my right hand thumb is down. I'm trying to hold my foot. My toes are up. From here, I'm going to release it and I'm going to cross my body. My foot is going to reach across my body, touch my big toe down, and my thumb is going to reach back and touch my right thumb down. So you're actually on a diagonal in the opposite way. Come back up and touch your foot, and then reach and lengthen. So touch, and then the stretch or the reach is the work, okay? If you want, you can pick your head up when you touch, and then you reach and lengthen everything go. Stretch, and then touch. I hope I didn't confuse you too much with my misdirection in the middle. I was like, something's not right. And touch. And across the body, reach back. Noticing anything that's going on. This is a big whole body movement. And so you might be like, I've got so many things going on, I'm not sure. So your leg is internally rotating, trying to touch the floor. Your arm is externally rotating, trying to touch the floor. And at that end range is where you've got that big connection through the rotational parts of the body. All right, last one on this side. And then rest. All right, so we'll start with the same thing on the other side. Start with your knees bent and just give yourself a moment. And then stretch your right leg down, left hand to the bottom of the left foot. And remember, when we get going, you can pick up your head. It makes it a little easier. So as you stretch apart, your left foot's going to turn in and down. Big toe touches the floor. Left arm thumb turns out and back. And then come back up and in. So stretch slow, reach. And then back in. Up. And then maybe you pick your head up. Open. Put your head back down when you're stretching out. Pick it up when you're coming together. Now you don't have to touch the bottom of your foot if that feels like it's too far away, but it's just a directional movement, directional direction. Direction. Toes down, thumb back, reach. If you're like me, that reach at the very end, there's like an edge there where it's like, oh, does that feel good to be there? Gotta ask. Let's do one more. And stretch. Good. Come back to center. Put your feet down. Give it a minute. And then go ahead and rock side to side with your knees. And then we're going to rock all the way over and come into tabletop one last time. So you're in table. We're going to be on hands and feet. So this time, I want you to take your right toes back and your left fingers forward. As you inhale, you're going to come up. And as you're exhaling, elbow and knee together, curl. If it feels too hard, keep your hand on the floor and do the same thing with just the knee. Curl. Inhale. And curl. Last time. And then release. Switch sides, left leg goes back, right fingers go forward. Inhale, lift everything up. Exhale, elbow and knee together. Inhale, get everything up. Exhale together. Last one up. And together. Now moving your hands a little forward, we're going to just rock towards our hips or towards our heels. Arms are extended. And then we're going to inhale, come forward, and just go up to dog pose for a breath. And then come back down onto your knees. Hips go back towards your heels. Inhale, come forward. Knees lift off the mat. Stay for a pause here, heel presses, like we've been doing all along. Inhale, come forward, knees tap the mat. Release your toes. Pull your hands backwards to allow the chest to come forward and the pelvis to come down. Remember, this is your own experience. Don't try to make it bigger than it should be. And then release and come back into an easy child's pose to pause. And then go ahead and find your way onto your back. Before we close the practice at all completely, I want you to just lay all the way down in your Shavasana. And you're welcome to put clothes on, socks on, whatever, at this moment. And we're going to do two things here. We're going to breathe and we're also going to pay attention. So when you're lying down, if you can bring yourself back to the beginning of the class when you were lying on the mat and how it felt then. And then bringing yourself now to the current state and how it feels now. Can you identify any shift or change? Now, a lot of times what people say is everything just feels calmer or less sticky, or you feel more at ease. You don't have a specific knowing, but you might also feel more spaciousness somewhere or have more understanding about an area in your body. This class, like yin, is all about a connection, building relationship with this thing we call a body. And then take your hands to your belly. And as you inhale, expand the belly. And as you exhale, gently draw the abdomen or the navel back towards the spine. Letting the breath ride the natural breathing pattern of the body. feeling the belly totally expand on the inhale. And then give it a little squeeze on the exhale. And just like the entire class, we're not trying to do this as hard as we can. We're trying to do a little bit more of awareness, deeper connection. It's just like what we say when we meditate, you know, meditation is all about getting to know yourself at a deeper level. Super easy to stay distracted all the time, so we don't have to pay attention. But what happens is we get this emotions, experiences, they get stuck in our tissues, specifically the fascia. And then we have all these restrictions and pain. But if we just take a few moments every day to connect to this thing we call a body, breathing into the belly, we might start to unload some of those stuck things that are there. After your next exhale, you can pause, relax, soften, and just move yourself right into Shavasana from here. As always, when you stop moving, you take a nice deep breath and let yourself soften, releasing into the support of the floor and the earth. Take a longer and deeper breath. And as you feel ready, start to stretch and move. And bring yourself back into your space and your body. And then slowly, as you feel ready, you can bend your knees, rolling over to a side. Pause before coming up to sitting. Once you're seated, let's bring the hands together, closing the practice. As always, we slide the thumbs upward along the breastbone towards the collarbones to just very energetically lift and float the front of the body, softening the back body, bowing the head. And gratitude for our time together on the mat, our deep body wisdom and guiding light. May our light always shine brightly, and may we always see the light in each other. Namaste.